Well, it's that time again, guys, to give you my Fool's Gold list. Now, just a reminder, the teams that make this list are the teams that get so much media hype that these teams, if you just dig a little deeper and don't listen to all the media, you realize these teams are not that great. Either they're great because of their schedule, and if they do make the playoffs, which some of these teams on my Fool's Gold list may make the playoffs, but I believe anybody who makes the playoffs on my list, they'll be one and done. So this list is just a reminder for all of you people out there, don't buy into the hype. They may look good, they may have good records, and if they do make the playoffs, they will be one and done. And I don't know any fan base or any true fan who wants their team to be one and done. So I'm going to give you guys my list. Some teams have reoccurred on here. I just want to keep on reminding you to do not buy into some of these teams. And I got some newcomers on here too that after week 11, I don't see them really going anywhere. And if they do, they'll be one and done in the playoffs. So let's get it started. This is my Fool's Gold list after week 11 in the NFL. And the first team we're going to talk about on my Fool's Gold list is a team that's been on the Fool's Gold list before. This is a team that's head coach gets so much praise in the media. It's unbelievable. Everywhere you look on any sports channel, they are kiss Jim Harbaugh's ass. And yes, I am talking about the Chargers. The Chargers get so much hype when they haven't beaten one team that's going to make the playoffs. The best win they have is the Bengals, and the Bengals almost beat them. The Chargers won 34-27, and the Bengals, they might have exposed the Chargers because before that, the Chargers haven't allowed, I believe, only 13 points a game. But the teams they've been playing are terrible. The Titans, the Browns, the Saints, and the Broncos, and the Panthers, and the Raiders. All those teams are ass when it comes to the offensive category. And I'm supposed to be impressed by the the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, whatever the hell they're called now. I'm sorry, I am not impressed. J.K. Dobbins, he's all right, better than average. He's out when he's healthy, okay? Herbert, he's an elite quarterback. Gotcha. I'm not trusting Quentin Johnson and McConkey. No, thank you. Those wide receivers right now are very young, so I'm not trusting them. So who do you trust? The defense? Well, you finally played a good offense, and that good offense dropped 27 on you. You lost to the Chiefs. You lost to the Steelers. So no, I am sorry. I am not buying the Chargers hype. And please tell me, why is Jim Harbaugh getting so much hype? Because he went to one Super Bowl and he lost? Is that it? With the 49ers? I can name 20 head coaches in the NFL who have gone to the Super Bowl and lost, and they don't get as much praise as Jim Harbaugh does. So why am I supposed to be impressed by this guy because he got the second place because he lost in the Super Bowl years ago? Am I supposed to be impressed by him because he took a team he cheated in Michigan to win a championship? Come on, man. I am not buying the hype of Jim Harbaugh. You win a championship and then I'll be impressed. Just like nobody gave Andy Reid the title, one of the best coaches in the NFL, until he won Super Bowls. So until Jim Harbaugh wins those Super Bowls, then I'll give him some hype. But I'm not buying the hype from right now. So I don't understand this. People are blowing up in the media so bad. They are not my power rankings because every team they've played that's in the top 10, they have lost. They've lost the Cardinals. They've lost the Chiefs. They've lost the Steelers. So no, I am sorry. And now we'll see how good they really are. They play against the Ravens, the Falcons, and the Chiefs. And the Buccaneers, they play after that. And the Buccaneers will get Mike Evans back. So that might be a tough challenge too. So let's see how tough they really are when they go through these next 3 games. I could probably give them the Atlanta win, but I could see them definitely losing to the Ravens and Chiefs. Then is everybody going to be blowing them up then? I don't want to hear it. So that's why I think the Chargers are fool's gold. I do not trust them. They're getting too much hype. The head coach is getting too much hype. So until they beat really good teams, until they show that they can hang with the big dogs, then I will praise the Chargers. But don't buy into the hype. If they do make the playoffs in the wild card, which looks like they're poised to do, mark my words, the Chargers will be one and done in the playoffs because they don't have enough offensive power to win a playoff game. I'm sorry, defenses don't win championship in the NFL anymore. Go look at the last Super Bowls. It's high scoring, okay? Defenses that don't do shit, okay? So I'm telling you right now, don't buy the Chargers. They're overhyped. They're still a year to 2 years away before they make any real noise in the NFL. So in our division, I've said multiple times this division, I've been right so far, guys. I told you, don't trust the NFC West, okay? The 49ers, fool's gold. Seahawks, fool's gold. Arizona, I still believe, are fool's gold. Their defense cannot keep this up. And the Rams, I don't know. Their offense is good when they're healthy, but do you really trust that defense? No. So like a guy said, don't trust the NFC West. They're all fool's gold. So let's get into it and let's break down each team. And this new team on my fool's gold list, finally, people are finally turning the page on this team. And they're showing how overhyped they are. Now, if you ask their fans, they say that, we have all these injuries. Everybody in the NFL has injuries this year. I mean, it's just injuries galore, okay? But finally, people are turning the page on the 49ers. That's right. The 49ers are fool's gold. They lose to the Seattle Seahawks, just shooting themselves in the foot. I don't care that Ayuk's out. The guy was doing shit before that. The guy was trash, okay? He looks like garbage after you gave him that contract. So I don't want to hear it. You still got Jennings, and you still got Deebo Samuel and CMC, and you guys lost to the Seahawks? I am sorry. You're 5-5 now. You're 0-3 in your own division. You are probably not making the playoffs. I would bet money the San Francisco 49ers do not make the playoffs. So I am sorry. They play the Packers and the Bills the next 2 games, and then the Bears. But the next 2 games they could possibly lose, okay, and be 5-7. So don't buy the hype of the 49ers. Finally, people are turning the page on them. Another thing to keep in mind here is that nobody's really scared of the 49ers defense anymore. I don't want to hear about injuries. Everybody's beat up in the NFL right now. So I don't want to hear it. They had to make some sacrifices to keep guys on this on their squad by giving them big contracts, and they caused some few defenders to leave that team. And now they're seeing the reap of it. The 49ers defense is not that scary anymore. Previous years, the 49ers defense was ruthless. You had to watch out because they would get after your quarterback, turn over the ball. Now, average or worse than average. Nobody's scared of this team. And it's time to talk about Shanahan not closing out games. I think it's 2 or 3 times this year where they had the lead in the fourth quarter in like the last couple minutes, and they blow the game. I mean, there's a trend here. I think he's like one of the worst coaches closing out teams, and that's not a recipe to winning a Super Bowl. So I know the 49ers are 5-5, but I'm just saying they got so much hype before the season started, and now they're falling apart. And yes, they had some injuries, but this is more than injuries, okay? This is a culture. They may be missing the defensive coordinator. They lost him in the offseason, so maybe that has to do something with it. But I'm sorry. Their offense looks plain. CMC didn't do so much. I know he's still coming off from injury, but this is his second game in. Mason didn't even look that good. So, even like I said, Jennings was the only bright spot in that team against Seattle. But, like I said, finally they're turning the page on the 49ers. I feel like they're going to need to do a little mini rebuild here because they're going to be tight for cash. But you know what? I'm glad to see it. The 49ers are finally coming down to earth, and people are finally realize they're not that great, and most likely they're not making the playoffs. Now let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. I want to briefly talk about them because I see people give them a little too much hype just because they beat the 49ers. But do you really trust this team? One of the worst rush defenses in the league. You have a quarterback that's so inconsistent. He's tied for the league in interceptions. You have one of the worst rushing attacks, and you have two good running backs. So I don't want to hear it. I'm not buying Seattle. They went 3-0, and then I told you guys don't trust them. And what they do, they lose a bunch of games after going 3-0. No, it was a good win against the 49ers. I think that says more about the 49ers than a good win for the Seahawks. So I can't see this team. I don't think not one of these teams, I think the only division winner is going to the playoffs. I believe the NFC West is getting no wild card teams because this division, for the most part, is fool's gold. And whoever wins this division, because I'm still not sold it's the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals defense cannot keep this up because their defense is pretty terrible. But whoever wins that division, they will be one and done in the playoffs as well. So don't trust the NFC West, or more particular, don't trust the Seahawks, because you know what? Decent win against the 49ers, but you can't trust Geno Smith. The guy is just average or just above average. This is not his year, so do not trust the Seattle Seahawks to do anything this year, but then be mediocre. And briefly talk about the Arizona Cardinals. They had a bye, so they didn't play, but don't buy into the hype. Don't. They might win the division, but I wouldn't buy in the hype. Their defense, they still one of the worst teams at getting after the quarterback. Yes, they sacked like Caleb Williams 8 or 9 times, but a Girl Scout team, you can sack the Caleb Williams with that horrible offensive line the Bears have, okay? Don't buy the hype, okay? They have McBride and James Conner and Marvin Harrison Jr., who's, he's still a rookie. That's all they have in their offense. Kyle Murray usually has to play Superman. He has to run the ball. He has to do everything with his legs and his arms. So for them to be to win a game, their defense is not good. It's awful. So their defense is just playing above average right now, and it's not going to keep up. They will fall back to earth. So do not trust Arizona Cardinals. Don't trust this whole division. So, like I said, NFC West, they'll be one and done. Even if the Cardinals win this division, they will be one and done. And a new team on this list, on the Fool's Gold list, is the Green Bay Packers. Now ask yourself, can you truly trust Jordan Love? Because they're the main reason why they're on this list. Not only do they need a block field goal, they had to cause a penalty that actually didn't get called to block that field goal, okay? So they needed to do that to beat the Bears who looked terrible going into that game. But Jordan Love throws another interception. He has a turnover problem like nobody's business. He's tied with Geno Smith with 11 interceptions. Now, I thought the Packers would fix this after the bye, but it looks like that he's still doing his gunslinging self and throwing interceptions. So unless he cleans this up, the Packers are going to be one and done in the playoffs. And I don't think they are going to clean it up. Throwing interceptions and turning the ball over, that might you might be okay and win the games against crappy teams like the Bears. But when you turn that ball over, like when you play the Lions, the Vikings, or the Eagles, you lose. And the Packers lost to all those teams, okay? So Jordan Love is one of the big reasons why the Green Bay Packers are on the Fool's Gold list. But wait, there's more why they're on this Fool's Gold list. In their last 3 wins, they have won by a combined of 6 points. So they're not blowing teams away. I think that says a lot about the Packers. A lot of people were glazing them about their offense, how it was such a good core. So if it's such a good core, why, if you combine all of your last 3 wins, you won by a total of 6 points? That's not going to cut it in the playoffs. I'm sorry. They've only defeated 2 teams by a touchdown or more. Everything else besides that, it's been a touchdown or less. That's not so great. I'm sorry, people. And kind of a big problem the Packers have is that's not going to do too well in the playoffs is that they have a problem getting after the quarterback. They are average to below average when it comes to sacking the quarterback. The player who leads their whole team with sacks only has 3.5. The guy who was ranked with the 3rd most sacks on their team, they traded away to the Steelers, Preston Smith. He had 2.5 sacks. So you just traded a guy who's your 3rd best guy getting after the quarterback to the Steelers. So now you have less players to get after the quarterback. So that's not going to cut in the playoffs, okay? When people are slinging the ball left and right, you have to get to the quarterback to win one playoff game, let alone the Super Bowl. So with Jordan Love turnover problems, with them not getting after the quarterback that much, they're just average to below average. That is a problem, and I'm not buying the Green Bay Packers. They got so much hype. I believe one of the guys on Good Morning Football put him in the Super Bowl. Phil Simms or Mike Florio, they got him in the Super Bowl or the NFC Conference Championship as well, okay? And I believe I just saw so many media personalities pinning them into the Super Bowl or the NFC Conference Champion. I don't see it. They turn over the ball and they can't get after the opposing quarterback. I'm sorry, that's not a good recipe to win one playoff game. And the Packers, when they turn over the ball playing against good teams, they've lost. They turned over the ball against the Vikings, they lost. They turned over the ball against the Lions, they lost. And they turned over the ball against the Eagles, and they lost. So don't buy into the hype in the Packers. Take a step back. They need to prove that they're going to need to clean it up, and they need to prove that they got to get after the quarterback, because that's the only way you're going to win a playoff game come the playoffs. So don't buy the Packers hype just yet. And this team has made the fool's gold list before, and that is the Denver Broncos. Yes, I think the Denver Broncos are getting too much hype. They're getting too much hype because everybody loves Sean Payton. Sean Payton, him and Colin Cowherd are best friends. Sean Payton. Why? Why are they getting so much hype? Okay, they blew the doors off the Falcons. Great. The whole NFC South is garbage, okay? Whoever wins the NFC South, they're going to be one and done in the playoffs, okay? Just like the NFC West. They are done, okay? So I don't want to hear about that, okay? Good win, Broncos. You blew the doors off the Falcons. But other than that, they still have a horrible, horrible offense. It's just Sutton and Bo Nix. That's it. I don't want to hear anything about the running backs. They're garbage. The new rookie guy, he's garbage too. So I don't want to hear nothing that. Just defense, 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 okay? But they can possibly make the playoffs. The next 3 games they have against the Raiders, a crappy team, the Browns, a crappy team, and the Colts. Colts are iffy, so they may win that game, but I can see them winning that game. So let's say they go 3-0. They could probably go 10-7 or 11-6 for the rest of the season and capture a wild card. Even then, I am not trusting Denver Broncos. Mark my words. Denver Broncos get in the playoffs, which they probably will. They'll be the first team out, just like the Chargers. Both those teams, they'll make the playoffs, and they'll be out on the first round, the wild card. They'll be out. No offense, just defense. And I'm sorry, defenses don't win championships anymore. This is not the 90s and early 2000s. You need a high-powered offense to win it all. Case in point, go look at the last Super Bowls, okay? So don't buy in hype in the Denver. Don't, okay? People are going to say, well, we didn't think they would go this far. I don't care. Either you win it all or you don't. So don't believe in the hype in the Denver Broncos. Their offense is just disgusting, okay? It's all defense, just like the Chargers. So they're getting a little too much hype by the media. Let's pump the brakes. We all know them and the Chargers, they'll be one and done in the playoffs, and that's it. But like the Chargers, they're maybe a year to 2 years away. Then come talk to me. But till then, stop giving them too much hype. They're not going to go anywhere this year. So let's just, bite into reality here and just admit they are just overachieving, and they'll be one and done in the playoffs. And this whole division has been on the Fool's Gold list multiple times. And this whole division is just garbage. I told you guys, even when these teams in this division were doing good in the beginning of the season, I said do not trust any of these teams. They're not going anywhere. And that is the NFC South. They are garbage just like they were last year. They're the best team with the winning record is the Falcons at 6-5. And the Falcons got their ass blown out by the Broncos by 34 points. So by default, the Falcons are just going to win, even though they're not a good team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 4-6. The Saints are 4-7, and the Panthers are 3-7. Do you trust any of these teams to make any noise in the playoffs? No. When the Atlanta Falcons get into the playoffs, they will be one and done. Just like the NFC West, whoever wins the NFC West, they'll be one and done too. So this whole division is ass. The Falcons are on a 2-game losing streak. They're just going down the crapper. Buccaneers are all beat up. They're not going to go anywhere. And the Saints are trying to act like there's something that they're not. They're just acting like they're going to try to make the playoffs. They're not going to go anywhere, okay? Their whole defense and offense is depleted as well. No wide receivers, no corners on the Saints. And the Panthers, they're trying to make something out of nothing with Bryce Young. So, God bless them. But they're not going anywhere either. So, like I said, guys, from the beginning, the NFC South, do not trust them. And I've been proven right. That whole division is ass city. I knew it since week 2 that the NFC South was going to be garbage, and I was right. Look at all of them. Straight bums. So there you go, guys. That is my Fool's Gold list. Yes, are some of these teams going to make the playoffs? Yes, they will. But every team that I mentioned, I believe will be one and done in the playoffs. They're still maybe a year to 2 years away from being actually great. I just don't like that they're getting so much media hype. Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Packers going to the Super Bowl. No, they're not. Each team I mentioned is going to be one and done in the playoffs. Packers, one and done in the playoffs. Both the Broncos and Chargers, one and done in the playoffs. The whole NFC South and the whole NFC West. Whoever wins the division out of any of those teams in the NFC South or NFC West, they will be one and done in the playoffs. So guys, don't trust the hype and anybody on this Fool's Gold list because they're not going anywhere. But with that, guys, like or subscribe. Tell me if you think I'm full of shit. Tell me if I'm an idiot. Tell me if you like this segment. I love doing it. A like and subscribe will go a long way. It's a small channel, but I love doing this. So thank you for tuning in. I will give you guys my power rankings on Wednesday, I believe, maybe Thursday, but I'm leaning towards Wednesday. And pay attention to my TikTok and my YouTube shorts for my other picks, my sports betting picks, that is. So with that, guys, thank you for watching, and I will always see you in the next one.